wherever the conversation goes, it goes, right?
Yes, for sure.
I mean, I know it's going to go a certain direction, like how are you and stuff, but you never know. I sometimes like to take a left-hand turn out of God knows where, so then who knows where it's going to go.
So buckle up, Crystal.
Buckle up, Crystal. All right. Okay, so let's begin, my friends. Welcome to Unscripted Turbulence with Raegan Medgie. That's me, baby. So we are again in the podcast nook. This is a new venture. We're also going to be in the studio too, but the reason we're in the nook today is because my girlfriend, Crystal Egger, is joining us. Hello, Crystal.
Raegan, it's so good to see you. And I feel like we're just going to get a chance to catch up because it's been a while. And it's just an honor to be invited as your guest. I'm so proud of you. I know you're still in the early stages. So again, I'm just grateful to be part of it.
Yeah, early stages is right. I mean, it's like every day is, we were just, before hopping on this podcast, it's like trying to figure out what are you doing, how you're doing when you're an entrepreneur, which you are. We'll get to that. It's and you're a co-entrepreneur, I guess your cohort in your business, which again we'll talk about. I talked to her the other day, and I was explaining all these things I have to figure out, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is like adulting," and she's like, "Yes, very much adulting."
Yes, it's one thing to be working for somebody and then to take on your own endeavor and cover all the bases and have people depending on you.
Oh,
it's a whole new beast, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So for those of you tuning in, and I want to make sure I'm doing everything right, and I'm not showing, because I know I could get a little inappropriate with my attire here if I'm not paying attention. My brassiere was kind of popping out there. But so Crystal Egger, if you are familiar with her name, well, you should be. She, too, is a TV friend. We worked at the Weather Channel briefly together, kind of, but she was out in L.A., I think, you were at the Weather Channel at one point, but then you were out in L.A. with KNBC, correct?
Correct. And I was working as a correspondent for the Weather Channel from there, and I think that's when you started at the Weather Channel.
Yes, it was like 2014 to 2016, whatever. And Crystal, I mean, it was an instant friendship. I felt like I knew you my entire life, and so that's how I know Crystal. But Crystal's no longer on TV. There's a common theme with these podcasts, isn't there? And we will get to that. So, Crystal, I'll have you introduce yourself because, as I mentioned in my other podcast, Nook Edition, Crystal's not in New York. So, Crystal, you can take it away. Your title and where are you right now in the world?
I'm on the best coast. I'm kidding. The left coast, as they say. I'm here. I'm in San Diego. You actually visited me once when Pilot had a job over here, I believe. We went and had some cold beers on the 101.
Oh, okay. So listen, I have to, this is the left-hand hook I was talking to you about before, where I'm going to go off on a tangent before you finish your story. But so yes, Pilot was out flying a trip in San Diego, and I met up with Crystal. I met up with you, and we had those amazing brews. We also went to a jewelry shop, and I got an incredible bracelet. It was like this Namaste yoga bracelet, and I believe it was in Encinitas, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I lost it. And I feel very bad about this because that just means I have to come out and see you again and get another bracelet to replace. But the way in which I lost this bracelet, I like the martini, right?
Oh, I know.
Oh, well, Medgie had one too many martini before a wedding. Got to the ceremony, didn't make it to the reception. And that is where I lost the bracelet. So I have to make up for that. So yes, anyway, yes, we had brews, we got a bracelet. I lost the bracelet years later, but anyway, okay, continue your story.
Sounds like a good story. I need to know more about that night. But yes, Encinitas is where I live. I'll have to pop over and see if I can get you another bracelet. I'm actually in that area where we were hanging out, staying in a hotel for a couple of days because
that's right.
We've got some
and why?
We're doing some work at our house. I have spent the last 8 years dreaming about a new kitchen, and like working my tail off in hopes that someday I would get a new kitchen. Like that's all I've ever wanted. I spend so much time in the kitchen, and finally convinced my husband it was time to make it happen. It's only going to get more expensive. So if we're going to do it, let's do it, you know?
Yeah.
So moved the family into this little 1 bedroom hotel with a kitchenette for a little bit. So that's been an adventure, but anyway, that's where I'm at nowadays. I'm here, Raegan, because all of my family's in Southern California. And that brought me here, and that has been like the pivotal theme in my career journey, really, is family and making it back to be closer to them, and then making big changes so I can have the best life with my immediate family. My 2 daughters. I have a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old. So we're in the middle of a tween and a teen, both girls.
Oh.
So it's exciting.
Oh, that's the definition you give to it. Exciting.
Exciting.
Yes.
It's turbulent, Raegan. Very turbulent. Their emotions are up and down and up and down. And, we're going through all the things.
Nice play on words. I see what you did there. That's good. You must be a TV person, knowing how to tie it all in together. Okay, so now let's give the audience a little flavor of who Crystal Egger is and where she was born and raised, and your journey into this chaotic and turbulent world called TV news.
Okay, I'll try to give you the the short elevator pitch, but I actually grew up here in Southern California, a more inland area. If people are familiar with Riverside, San Bernardino. I couldn't wait to get out of there, essentially. And I went to college at UC Santa Barbara. It's an amazing place to go to college. Met my husband there over the keg at a frat party. We are still
Out of here.
Yes, we've been married for 22 years.
So a keg brought you together. Nice. A keg stand. Was he holding you up?
I don't think I did this keg stand that night, but I'm sure there were plenty. But we did meet, near the beer and all the action. And yeah, we've been together for a very long time. Like I said, I have 2 daughters, but he moved with me to Idaho Falls in the middle of nowhere. Right after we got married, I was 24 at the time. I said, I really want to give this broadcast TV thing a try. I had been taking radio and TV classes after college at this city college here in San Diego. They have this amazing program, and my friend invited me to be a part of it. We had our tiny cable news station called News Scene, and my professor had us try everything. We would anchor, we would do reporting, we'd write scripts, and she had me do the weather, and she pulled me aside. Professor Laura Castaneda, I adore her. We're still very close till this day. And she said, Crystal, I really think you should give weather a try. You seem comfortable ad-libbing. And it takes, a real skill to be able to get up there without a script, unscripted, Raegan. And I said, okay, I don't know a lot about weather. I was born and raised in Southern California, where it's not very exciting, but I do love math and science, and maybe I will find this love of weather, but I have to go back to school and study it if I'm really going to do this. So I did some research. I joined the MSU program, Mississippi State University. They have a broadcast meteorology 3-year program. So I thought...
Yeah, I didn't know that you did that. I thought you went right into school for meteorology.
No,
wow. I'm learning things here too.
I studied communication with a minor in Spanish. I had the idea of going into maybe marketing or PR, but it has all, served me in the long run, especially running my own business, having studied communication. But anyway, I took the first semester, Meteorology 101, and whatever else was involved, and I fell in love with it, and I said, I really think this is the path for me. Weather is universal. I love talking to people in general. You can talk to anyone about the weather, right? Whether it's grandma, the dentist, whatever. So I could see it being relatable and something I could really enjoy. So I put together a tape after interning at local stations here in San Diego and moved to Idaho Falls with my husband. I think there was maybe one or two exits and some tumbleweeds. Said, oh
Oh,
my
geez.
gosh,
Yep.
where are we going? But turned out to be an incredible experience. It was market number 164 at the time. If you know market numbers, New York's number one, Los Angeles market size number two. So I started at 164, and I looked at it kind of like grad school. I don't know your experience with your first job, but a lot of people said, you're going here to learn,
Oh, yeah.
make mistakes. I remember running out of air on the news, and my producer would say in my ear, just breathe, just breathe. I was so nervous, I couldn't even take a breath. I would just talk, 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 and then forget to breathe. And it took a while
Yeah.
to figure it out and get my rhythm going. And then I continued to study it, and being on the job while learning about weather and using all the weather maps and graphics was so helpful. And then I was able to get a job in Denver, which was amazing. It was such a great experience. And talk about
Now, is the weather, you're going to talk about the weather at this point, because I know that the mountains is so difficult to forecast, right?
oh my gosh. I ended up being the meteorologist in the field for the first year because the news director, Brad Remington, so he was awesome, took a chance on me and said, look, I'm going to put her in the field for a year so she can really get comfortable and experience all the weather that Denver and Colorado offers every season. So I would get up at 1:30 in the morning, head to a ski resort. I would broadcast from the helicopter at least once a week, which was really exciting. And then I would go to any weather story that was happening early in the morning, whether it was gusty winds in the foothills or icy roadways down over the Palmer Divide, whatever. I was there dark and early getting ready. And then eventually moved into the studio to be the morning weather anchor for the remaining 3 years. So that was an incredible experience. Was able to finish school, get my NWA, I'm forgetting the acronyms now, and my AMS seal
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them.
while I was there. And then I got the job at the Weather Channel. So my husband and we had just had my oldest daughter in Denver. She's 16 now. And then we went to the Weather Channel. That's just, for me, the highlight of my career. I dreamed of working there as I became a meteorologist. Like, that's the mecca for Mets,
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the fact that it was just weather. It wasn't news and, political uprisings and crime.
Yeah.
It was just weather. And the people there are like family. They still are till this day. And just absolutely loved it. I had my youngest daughter, Savannah, while I was in Georgia, which is why we named her Savannah. She's our Southern belle. And
Oh, I
never
didn't know
wanted
that.
I really never wanted to leave. I don't know how you felt about Atlanta and, the Marietta area of Georgia, but I absolutely adored the people and the Southern charm, having a screen porch.
Oh gosh, yeah. I didn't actually. The funny thing is, when I was at the Weather Channel, I wasn't based down there. I was actually
That's
based
right.
in New York City because I was a New York. I was a Northeast correspondent.
Okay.
But that said, when I would have to, because I was part of that launch of AMHQ with Sam Champion,
Yeah.
and I was the #1 fill-in for the news reader of that show. So whenever that anchor would leave, Anaritas Rodriguez, I would go down and fill in. And
Okay.
I do remember taking a lot of time down there to drive around and walk around and just see all of the homes, and just it's a spectacular area. It
Right.
really is.
All the magnolia trees.
Yeah.
I remember flying in for my interview, and it was just a canopy of trees, like a sea of trees, and I wasn't used to that really coming from Denver, especially. The plains are kind of bare, the high plains of Colorado. So it was gorgeous. I had just, I don't know, an overwhelming amount of experience while I was there, reporting on major weather events.
Yeah.
Superstorm Sandy, the Japan quake and tsunami. I was live for that. The Joplin tornado, the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham's tornado outbreak. There's just so many, like, seared in my mind. I'll never forget. And just the people and the experience was second to none. But my family and my mother, who I'm very close to, they were all here in Southern California. And I just felt like I'm raising these two young girls and I'm so far from home. And I don't want them to see their grandparents every 6 months, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe every 3, but I just didn't want that life. And so I made a huge decision to leave and go to Los Angeles. And I was so fortunate to get a job at NBCLA because that's like my hometown market. And that was also an incredible experience. And I got to be close to home. And at the time, I was able to work as a correspondent with the Sam Champion show, AMH.
I remember that. Yeah, he would always toss out to you, and you guys would
Yeah.
do the cross talking, the
Yes.
double box cross talking.
It was a way to feel like we're doing right now, double box.
Yeah.
Stuff. I felt
Love
like
it.
I was connected to the Weather Channel in some way. It was like, you can't get rid of me. If you could just get a West Coast bureau, I would be there in a heartbeat, you know? So
Yeah.
at
And
the
by
time,
the way, that at that time too, the Weather Channel had a partnership with NBC as to why they could
exactly.
do that. Since then, I think now they're with CBS somehow, but like
Yep.
that's how when I was based in New York City, I was based at 30 Rock.
That's
And
right.
imagine like somebody coming from like Market, I think it was Market 46 with Scranton, right to Market 1, Scranton, Pennsylvania, right to Market 1, and my office was in 30 Rock.
Amazing.
Oh,
I know. You feel like you made it. They
oh.
used to fly us up to fill in on the Today Show on the weekend. I mean, I used to nearly have a heart attack doing that broadcast. But it was so exciting getting to meet, at the time, Lester Holt and
Oh, he's stunning. I've met him before. Oh,
yeah.
what a gentleman.
He is exactly what you see is what you get. And they were rotating different anchors on the weekends, but Janice Huff would be there training me and Bill Cairns. And I felt like it was, the top of my game, right? To be able to work with those people. And
Al Roker too.
Al Roker was there. Yeah, also an amazing
What a guy.
I didn't want to let it go. It was so hard to say bye to that type of exposure, and just, that adrenaline you get from those experiences. It was a
And
lot.
before you get into that though, because this is I think where the turning point begins.
Yeah.
And I want to stop you because the reason I reached out to you, which I was going to reach out to you anyway about to be on my podcast, it was a post that you posted, whatever, on Instagram of your daughter looking at you on the TV.
Yeah.
And it was your final day at NBC out in LA. And it hit me. And there were a lot of feelings connected to that for me, just thinking like what you were going through. So if I preempted that moment or maybe did a little pin, be like, hey, this is where the pivot is.
Yeah.
By all means. I mean, anyway, okay, go ahead.
That was another pivotal moment. I felt very similar leaving the Weather Channel and then leaving NBCLA. But again, each decision was driven by what I wanted in my personal life too. And just for my husband, he didn't want to be in Georgia. He wanted to be closer to his parents who were getting older and, his siblings. It was just for all of us, I think. And the lifestyle is such a grind that I feel like my husband made a lot of sacrifices for me and taking care of our daughters, late at night so I can go to bed at 6:30 or 7. Also waking up and doing everything, getting them to preschool, kindergarten, whatever he had to do while I was on the show. And okay, so now we're in LA, right? And we're living this grind of a life, and I'm working on the morning show. I come home, you know what it's like. Everyone says,
Oh,
oh, but you're off at 11 a.m. Yeah, and
oh,
you feel like
no.
hell. You feel hungover, exhausted, and
I had a discussion with my girlfriend the other day who just got out of morning TV.
oh,
And to piggyback on what you're saying, we brought that feeling up. That feeling. It's not a tired feeling like, oh, like I didn't have a great night of sleep last night. It
right.
is this feeling like you literally got hit by a truck. It's that, think about the most tired you've ever been and where you're laying in bed and you can barely move because you're just so exhausted. And that feeling on repeat, but accelerating by Wednesday,
You're so good.
Thursday, Friday.
Yes. And if you're a coffee drinker like me, even coffee won't fix it when you've hit the wall.
Nope.
Right?
Oh, no, it is. I remember having like when I was at Fox 5, there were times where, morning show, I would come home and like, no, I'm not going to sleep, I'm not going to nap, but your body just gives up. And I remember laying on the couch and thinking, I don't think I can get up and I have to get up because I have to. It was like 1 in the afternoon. And I thought, great, I could maybe nap for 2 hours. I let my body go, but I have to have my alarm up because I need to make my food and I need to pack and I need to make my dinner and I need to get in the shower and blow dry my hair and then get my outfit set up, then go to bed. Like every single day.
Every
Awful.
day. That prep for the next day starts early and it takes up so much headspace. And again, I think a big part of it, Reagan, and I know you can relate, is that it's TV. You have to show up and give all you got.
Yep.
You can't have cramps and not feel great and
Oh,
phone it in
no.
for the day.
No, because the viewers will let you know. And you also, I always felt we signed an invisible contract that is basically saying, whatever we go through, remember, the viewer doesn't care. They really can give a shit because they want their information. They want to be entertained. They want whatever you have to give them, which is what we understand. But at the same point, we're also human. So yeah, you can't complain about the cramps. You can't complain about or look a little off because now you're not on. Now you're not on. And the viewer's going to let you know.
Yeah, or God forbid your toddler was in your room at midnight or whatever, and you really didn't sleep. You already don't get a lot of sleep. But I just found over time, as I got older, I got to do that for 15 years. It was incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it got harder and harder, and especially as a mom, it was taking away a lot. I wanted more with them, right? And
Yeah.
when you go live, you give everything you've got for the show. And then for me, it was like 3 or 4 hours of cut-ins. So recording teases or coming live during the Today Show to do a weather update. And it was this repetition of the forecast for my 8-hour day and banter with the anchors and everything that comes with it. And I just felt like I had given everything I had during that stretch. And when I got home to my husband and my 2 girls, I didn't have a lot left to give.
You mentioned this, and I don't have children. And I always thought to myself what that would be like because I too I gave my viewers 100% of me. Let's say 100. By the time I got home, my battery, I could only give my husband pilot 30%.
Yeah.
And I kept on thinking, yes, that is my situation. I sign up for this, yada, yada, all that stuff. But I couldn't help think about the moms out there doing it because I got a lot of girlfriends, you included, who did the TV or do the TV thing and their moms. That is another level that I just hat tip, bow down, crown to you because I don't know. I only have a pilot to deal with. You, nope.
Yeah, well, you can't lay down and nap when you want to, usually. Or it's like you'd feel selfish because if you're going to go rest and that's your only part of the day with them, you're taking that away. Even having the most amazing supportive husband, I found it very challenging. And I would always tell people, I feel like everyone gets the best of me, like the viewers and my team. and then my family gets the worst of me, and it's
Yes.
not fair, and it's not how I want this next chapter of my life to be.
Yeah.
And so I made
Yep.
another big change and a
Talk about that one.
huge leap of faith. So, well, I kind of knew in my last year of my contract, when the seeds are being planted and you're already thinking about your goodbye message in your head.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Once you go there, it's hard to stay and give it everything you've got. Like I was already in my future and planning what it could be like to move down to San Diego, where I am now, wake up to the sunrise. That was like my dream to
Crystal,
not
I
wake
do it
up.
every day. I do that every
I
day. I
know,
kid you
me
not. I
too.
set my alarm to watch the sunrise.
And sometimes I forget like how lucky I am. Like this is what you wanted, Crystal. No matter
Yep.
how hard things are. Remember waking up at 1:45 to the alarm and getting on the 405 freeway absolutely exhausted.
Mm.
This is what I wanted. And I'm here and I'm living it. And I love to remind myself of that. Just those little things, seeing the sunrise. My daughter might say, Mom, I need a double French braid before school. And I'm like, right now? Because I'm terrible at it and it totally stresses me out. And then I remind myself, I get to do this. Like dad
Yeah.
couldn't do that for them. And I get
Oh,
to listen about their stresses and what they're worried about for the day and help them talk and think through it.
yeah.
Um, so it was super scary. I'm not going to lie. I remember my husband saying, okay, so you want to leave the business completely? I said, yes. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I will figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying, you can always go back. Like, hopefully, you'd have an opportunity to go back. And that was enough to just keep me going to figure something else out. And I did spend a little stint where I freelanced for NBC San Diego once I left because it was COVID and I got to do it from home and they needed some help. But what happened was I moved to San Diego. A lot of people were surprised. Like, how could you give up your dream job? You would just,
Oh, geez, that whole question. Uh-huh.
you're at TV in market number 2. You were in market
Yep.
number 1. So we
Oh,
worked
yeah.
our tails off to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Pay is good. There's stability. You sign, 3-4 year contracts. But I remember telling my agent they couldn't pay me $1 million to keep waking up at this time and going through this grind. And she was like, okay, I think you're there. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a sign. So I packed up the family. We moved to San Diego and found just an incredible community to raise our daughters where they could walk to elementary and junior high and all the things I dreamed of that I couldn't get in LA. I think looking back, LA was hard for my husband and myself. It's just a different kind of living, right? It's very busy. It takes a long time to get anywhere. You don't have that community vibe, kind of like I had growing up, where you could walk to friends' houses, and if you live far out of downtown LA, maybe you can afford Calabasas or Westlake or I don't know, some of those areas, you could get that community, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to be to work at 2. I didn't have a lot of options for where I could live. So found everything I wanted in San Diego. And I got a call that somebody saw that I left broadcasting, and he works for a Fortune 100 global technology shipping company and was wondering if I'd be interested in working as a weather and climate advisor.
Oh.
And I thought, wow, I hadn't thought of doing that. So anyway, needless to say, I ended up getting hired by him and worked that job for about a year. And he was very instrumental in helping me figure out how to do this on my own, as my own company. Catherine came on board to help me. At the time, I was just doing it as, Crystal Egger consulting. And then I started to see the benefit of helping businesses mitigate risk when it comes to weather. And Catherine and I opened Monarch Weather officially in February of 2019.
And Catherine is also
Yeah.
a meteorologist. And if you happen to go onto my Instagram and maybe go back a couple of years, Catherine, her name's Catherine Prosiv, and she's going to be on this podcast too. Her and I did storm chasing together. In fact,
That's right.
you see this little friend right here? This is called Emmy. Emmy over here. Oh, yes. I'm one of those obnoxious TV people that have my Emmys shown. Now, I have many more than just many. I have more than one, but you got to pay for this, and that's a whole other thing.
Yep.
Although very grateful and proud. But because of Catherine, I got one of these because she let me shadow her storm chasing in the Great Plains. And I don't know, did you ever go with her or meet up with her while she did one of those storm chases? Because she goes every
She's on
May.
she's done 15 years now, I think. And I have not, I don't know if there's anyone I would go with, it would be Catherine that I trust, right? It would definitely
Crystal,
be.
she's incredible. Yeah, like she's got it all down to a science. She's got a little pot of people.
I know.
She's, and and did you know, and when I talked to her, I'll get into this, but I didn't know this, that when I went out storm chasing with her, which I believe was 2017,
Okay.
there are all these other storm chasers out there that they intersect with, and there are groups, like actual led groups led by meteorologists who will chase storms. But she goes independently with her Virginia Tech people. She'll meet up out there. It is
And
really
she has led students too.
oh
I mean,
yeah. And you know what? You and I should go out maybe next year.
we should.
If you want.
Okay,
I'm
so
just saying.
I'm usually holding down the fort when Catherine's
Oh yeah.
out chasing, but it works out great, and she continues to become a better and more brilliant meteorologist every time. She's amazing. I could not have made it this far in. We're 6 years officially as Monarchs. We've continued to grow our team, grow our client base. We also had another managing partner come in, Kevin Tully. He's somebody I met through the broadcast world, and he has also been extremely instrumental in our success. And one thing I've realized is, as scary as it was to even think of running a business, what do I know about running a business? I had imposter syndrome every day for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
But the right people will help you make it happen. I didn't have to know everything, right? But Catherine, she has her strong skill set that she brings to the table. Kevin is kind of our business financial guy. We've brought in GIS folks who are helping build our products and, really turn the weather data into impact. We have
What's GIS, just for people who don't really know?
geographical information systems.
Okay.
Geographic.
And that kind of helps with figuring out the weather patterns and
Exactly. It's a way to visualize topography with weather data, and it's all building data tools. We've created this dashboard called Monarch View where we geolocate our client assets, and we bring in hundreds of layers of weather data, risk analysis, so they create that for us. I don't know how to do that, but we have an incredible team who is able to make it happen. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited to be where we are now. We're just finally hitting our stride, I think.
So now the company that you created is called
Monarch Weather and Climate Intelligence.
Amazing. And I think what's really important about you explaining the steps on how you brought it all together is that you didn't know all the steps that had to be brought together. And sometimes what we learn when we're creating businesses and our own thing is that it's always an adventure, and the right people, like you said, will fall in at the right time. You just have to have faith in it, and you just have to believe in what you're doing. Because I'm sure you had those, moments where you're like, oh, I don't know. But then something happens. It fills you up with all of that reassurance and just that gut feeling of I'm totally on that right track, and you just ignore all the negative Nancys in your head and you just go forward.
Catherine was that for me, that positive force in the beginning, especially, I remember so many times saying, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Like we'd have to do some kind of legal agreement and then pay a lawyer. And I was just so overwhelmed by it all the pieces that needed to come together and making sure we were protecting ourselves, talking
Oh
about
gosh.
weather and helping companies make decisions. And there were just, a lot of times where we would speak to business executives who have been in the business for decades. And I felt like such a newbie, even though I had done meteorology for so long. This was uncharted territory. But Catherine would say, nope, we're going to keep going. We got this. She calls me boss babe. We've got this, boss babe. We're going to keep and together we kept ourselves afloat until we got to the next phase, and Kevin came on board, and it just continues to get stronger. We believe in our mission and what we're doing. So yes, that helps tremendously. But turbulent is like the best word to describe it, because there's some days where, you feel like you're crashing and you're down in the valley, and then you hit a mountain, and then you're back down, and it's just a roller coaster. Any entrepreneur can tell you that beginning stages are definitely a roller coaster.
Yeah, no, I mean, you and I talked about before we got on this podcast and in other conversations on the phone, but yeah, it's not easy when you want to carve out your own path. And you do need that village of people around you, whether it's angel people. I've talked about that. Those people that just come in your life, drop in right when you need it the most, and you didn't realize it. And, that just those boss babes, boss dudes, whatever, that are around when you need it the most. And it's okay to feel like you can't keep going.
Yeah.
It's okay to surrender to that feeling, because you do find the right green lights along the way. And, I do have to say that it's empowering to hear this from somebody who is creating their own business. And I don't know about you, but like even in the moments where you feel like, what the heck am I doing? I think I just had a what the heck am I doing moment yesterday, where I was like, really, what am I doing? And I thought, okay, pause. Well, what else would you be doing? I would have stayed where I was at WABC, which, I loved it there, but I just wasn't getting the opportunities I knew that I could have and could flourish at. I just was getting passed over, pushed aside, and I thought, okay, that's your other option. You could have stayed.
It's scarier to stay the same sometimes.
Totally.
Right.
And I spoke to in my podcast, my first episode with a guest, Godwink Dana. And she says, and she's all about faith and God. And she says, when you don't trust in God and you get those feelings, like you got to go. She's like, Raegan, you call it gut. She's like, I call it God. It's very godly.
Yeah.
She's like, if you don't go, the grace goes with it. And you're left behind feeling upset, negative, angry, misplaced. There's such a power in just following that. Even when you sit in moments after you followed it, you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But
I think everybody has to feel that way, that it's terrifying and you don't really know if you're making the right decision, but you're trusting that you want something bigger. Maybe it's something, I don't know if you can relate to this, but once I start to get stable and comfortable, I'm ready to move. Like, okay, what's the next challenge?
Yeah.
And I think that's what drove me through my broadcast career. I didn't really stay in one market for a long time because I wanted something new. I would get comfortable and wanted another challenge. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, I remember feeling stagnant. That was the word I used. I remember coming home from an assignment. One of my morning shows said WABC. And I remember coming home and I looked at Pilot and I said, I feel stagnant. Like, I feel like I'm not doing anything. Like, I know I'm doing something, but I just didn't feel fulfilled by whatever I was doing. Maybe it was a story I was on that day, but then it was just, there was no movement for me. I felt like I was stuck. And always, like you said, always, those are the moments where you're like, it also could be the warning signal of getting comfortable too.
Hmm.
Maybe this is time to grow a little bit more and you're outgrowing your pot and the vines are going over the pot. I'm big on analogies if you can't tell. Over the pot and you're reaching for like more earth because you want to grow and extend your vines and your roots and stuff. And I felt like, ugh,
I
time for change, right?
can so relate to that feeling of feeling stuck. And then if I was
Ugh.
to sign another 3-year commitment, oh, then I'm really stuck. And I don't know about you, but I was also craving freedom. I
Mm,
wanted freedom to do what I wanted to do, not be under the NBC brand.
yeah.
Even posting on
Yeah.
Instagram, you got to be careful. You're
Oh,
representing NBC at all times.
oh yes.
I kind of felt like I could get my hands into more things if I had
Yeah.
freedom. But
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I got to be part of the NBC brand and the Weather Channel brand and
Mm-hmm.
the Fox brand in Denver. I mean, I don't take any of that for granted, but it's okay for something to run its course and then it leads you to the next chapter. I think
That's good.
the worst thing is staying because it's comfortable and never really getting to flourish out of the pot, like you said.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I mean, again, and I've said my first love is local TV news. I mean, I
Hmm.
will always have that because it's a deeper love. It's an understanding. I knew what I signed up for, but like the meaning for it, for like the news part and
Yeah.
the importance of it, the mission of it, the
Mhm.
all of that, and then the meteorology with that is a whole nother like moment, and I that's my first love. Totally my first love. But like you said, it's okay to pivot and it's okay if it's run its course. And you don't owe anyone an explanation as to why you choose to leave. Now, I chose to give everybody my explanation because, and in the way of doing that, basically, because I want people to know that we are all there. Like we've all been there, and it is okay to be there, and it's okay to stay if you want. It's okay to go if you want, but you're not alone because as a human shared experience, this really is it. Those moments where you make those tough decisions and you think, I just don't feel like this serves me anymore,
There you go.
you
It,
know?
it, like you said earlier, it's not fulfilling anymore. It was extremely fulfilling at certain phases, but I also think depending on where you are in your life, you might be craving something different. And for me, it's as simple as the lifestyle that I'm getting now for my family. I'm sitting here in a hotel talking to you on my laptop, but I'm also able to take my laptop and work wherever I want. I can travel somewhere and still work. And I didn't want just the 2 hours of vacation a year, feeling like
Oh,
so confined and stuck.
that vacation thing, we would get 2 weeks to start. And it was hard because sometimes there would be friend groups that want to do things. And you're like, I can't do that. I don't get that much time off. And it's
Yeah.
not like a 9 to 5 where if I don't know, had one too many martinis, I could just show up the next day and hide behind my desktop,
Oh, I know.
laptop, what? No.
I
No,
know.
you're out there for all to see that you made real bad decisions.
And it's really hard at 2 a.m. to say, can someone cover for me? Because nobody's awake. So you're screwed. You are showing up at the newsroom no matter what, or they don't have
Yeah.
anyone to do the weather that day. It's like a lot of
Oh,
pressure.
I mean, you want to talk about that? That's
Uh,
that. Yeah, you just don't do that. And then those who do aren't in the business for very long at all.
But I know there's people that have left and shared their story, and that inspires me. So hopefully, what you're doing is inspiring other people, right? And even us just talking about it, they're saying, okay, if they can do it, I can do it.
Totally can. And it's funny because it's other people's stories that inspire me to
Hmm.
leap. It's just like one thing passed down to another, and it's yeah. There is. I don't want to my our TV people out there. There is hope. There is hope, and I would hear that from people who left the business, And listen, we could get back into the business. Maybe the business has a complete facelift and it becomes this whole different thing because I don't know about you, but I think it's kind of going there and it should. But that's a discussion for a different pod for a different time, maybe. But, you know, who knows what can happen. But it is nice to know that if TV person listening, if you are feeling this way, it's okay.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of people we know in our circle feel that way. And here's a safe space to talk about it.
Yep. Yep. Or reach out to either of us and we could talk to you, and it will not go on the pod. It will not go on the pod.
100%.
Right. So let's talk about Monarch a bit more. You know, take me through a day, or take me through like what you do, because who knows who's listening, who's like, maybe I need to look into calling upon Crystal and her Monarch abilities.
Sure. Well, one bucket of what we do is forensic meteorology. And that's on my mind because we've had several new cases land just recently. But that's basically dissecting a place and time where weather contributed to a legal case. It could be slip and fall cases, a tree falling over a roadway and causing an accident because it was saturated, or the wind, or, you know, whatever that looks like. Landslides, wind damage to a commercial building. This is just an example of forensic cases. And so we're able to investigate the historical weather data, prepare a report, provide expert testimony. So we do that, which is really fun. You get to put on like your CSI cap and dive into
This
weather.
is cool. Yeah.
So really enjoy those. We do a lot for insurance. You know, weather and insurance go hand in hand. One of our bigger clients right now is Service Master Restore. So they go in and offer restoration services after a flood or, you know, wildfire event where there's smoke damage. And so we're constantly working to keep them situated ahead of the competition, right? Like we had hail damage in Wichita last night. So we're able to use GIS and our products to look at the hail footprint and where it damaged buildings and get that to them right away so they can offer restoration if siding has been damaged on a home or a business, for example. So those are a couple examples of what we do. We're also just starting to work with a new company. We haven't signed a contract, so I'll keep the name out. But they essentially work with large races around the globe, like marathon events. And we're going to create a tool where weather, I know you would be very interested.
I know. I'm like, here's my New York City Marathon medal. Go on.
So it's
and I finished in 4 hours, 19 minutes, and 35 seconds. But go on.
Oh my goodness, good for you.
I know, right?
Are you running? Is it November 2nd?
I'm not running this year. Oh, I'm not. That was last year. Yeah, no, no. But I will tell you that day it was 53 degrees as a high pressure system in place, bright blue skies, sunshine.
Amazing.
Just enough crispness in the air for that marathon.
Sounds like a highlight of your life, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The fact that you even ran a marathon is amazing. I've done nothing more than a 10K, and that was exhausting. I remember.
Well, you did a 10K, and that's what matters. Okay.
Yeah, did a 10K once when I was younger, in my 20s.
In your 20s. Well, you're only 35 now, so it's really not that far off.
I wish. But we're going to be helping to integrate weather data into the race run, and they have a whole AI brain they work with. So we're going to be providing all the weather data to help these runners and add value along the course. You know, if you start the race, it's one temperature, and then you get to the end of the race or higher in elevation, the weather is changing, sky conditions are changing. So we're going to work together to bring that all to life.
That's huge.
A lot of
That's huge.
I know. We're thrilled about that one, and we've done some work with public works teams, you know, helping them understand how much it's going to snow at different elevations, so they can plan for the community, keep the community safe. We've done web building for a large energy, a web page for a large energy company where we help them understand all the weather variables that affect their day-to-day operations. So again, being able to take data and create tools for clients is key. And we customize what we do per client. We're not a click and subscribe and there you go. We work alongside them to provide impact and ease their pain points,
Well, I would, if I could hire you to do one thing here in New York City is, and I know Pilot would like this too, is to figure out why on God's green earth the Van Wyck Expressway has consistently had traffic and construction rather on it since the days of, I don't know, Seinfeld's first episode, because back then they made a little statement. I think it was Elaine saying, no one ever beats the Van Wyck, and Pilot has to take the Van Wyck from Queens, where we live, to the other side of Queens, to JFK, and without fail, there is always construction. So one would want to know, is the weather prolonging the construction? Now, I don't know, because from what I see out my window, there's yet more construction where I live. There's construction everywhere. But oddly enough, there are many places in the Northeast that have similar weather patterns as New York, but yet their construction is done and buttoned up and perfect, but not the Van Wyck. Oh, no, not the Van Wyck.
I'm not familiar with the Van Wyck, but...
Oh, now you will be. I want you to look it up. I will send you pictures and videos.
Maybe they could hire us to provide situational awareness around weather and hyperlocal planning. I don't know.
That would be phenomenal.
It could be, we have phases of construction that have been ongoing here on the 101 where I'm at in Encinitas, and it's frustrating, but a lot of it has to do with taxpayer dollars and the community just not agreeing on certain projects, and they get extended well beyond what they should.
Yeah, I think this isn't a community saying, oh no, we want, an extra lane. No. I think it's deeper. So you'll take your weather forensics, I'll take my news forensics, and together we can figure out the reason why it's taken so long, and maybe, just maybe next year it'll be done.
Too bad that's the only route Pilot can take.
I mean, it really is. It is the only route. It's the only route a lot of people can take. A lot.
I think just getting around where you live is tough.
I mean, I just wish sometimes I had like a personal helicopter. I can just go over. And I was in a news truck with my cameraman, Steve, and I say his name because he's going to be on the podcast soon. And like when you're in a news truck, as you know, you're going through all sorts of traffic. And he says, I really just wish I had a monster truck where I would have the monster truck. It would be a transformer, right? So you'd start off as a news truck and then would build out to a monster truck and just boom, 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 all over the cars because the traffic is out of control.
You're just stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't go anywhere.
Catherine's fortunate that she walks, mostly to where she needs to go around Manhattan. But
brat. Yeah, I know.
I have to come out and visit you guys again, or you make your way here to San Diego again.
To get my bracelet that is somewhere in a field, somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Oh no!
Because of one too many martinis.
As a thank you for having me as a guest, I'll have to get you a little bracelet, a namaste bracelet.
I want to come out to you. That you could buy me a beer when I get out there. How about that?
We'll go back to the beer garden.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's where we were.
All right. Well, this has been a good conversation. But before I let you go, I always like to ask my podcast guests any dreams you have for either your business or your next step in life. Now that you took that, big pivot. Who knows? There's more pivots along the way. That's life, right? But
any dreams, yes, because if you're not dreaming, you're not living, I feel like, right? You need to constantly have something to get excited about or dream towards, right? Okay, so I guess I wasn't prepared for this, but to continue,
good question, huh?
There's always something I can dream of, right? Whether it's related to my health and fitness or obviously growing Monarch, but I would love to get to the point where I could have a little A-frame cabin somewhere in the mountains. Maybe it's the mountains here in California or Colorado, but having the combination of the ocean and the pines is definitely a dream for me. And having spent time, living in Idaho and Colorado and even in Georgia, I still crave that. I love where I get to live here, but I miss the woods. So I'm going to dream that someday that's going to happen. I'll get to share it with my family and friends too.
Oh, I love that.
And you.
That's right. I was waiting for that invite because I'm thinking, I got you on my podcast. You better be giving me an invite to that A-frame cabin in the woods
Doesn't
and
have
beach.
to be anything big or fancy, but just to wake up to the sunrise there in the cabin and have a nice, strong cup of coffee and just breathe in the pines.
Oh, that is delicious. That is a delicious way to end this. Oh,
Thank you so much for having me.
oh, this was so much fun. I hope I impressed you with my questions and conversation. And this is immensely enlightening for me. I can only imagine what my viewers and listeners are going to think. I hope good things. If not, keep it to yourself.
I told you when I saw your post, oh, this has you written all over it. I mean, you're so good at what you do, and storytelling and just
Thank you.
talking in general. I think you're very strong at conversation. So I'm really excited to see where this goes for you.
Thank you. I've had 44 years of practice. I mean, I didn't pop out of the womb talking, so let's say it's been like 41 years.
You got this.
Well, you got this, and I'm excited for your journey with Monarch and to see how bigger your wings grow.
Oh, there you go. They'll flap their way to my A-frame cabin one day.
Watching the sunrise. Oh, all right. Well, have a good one. I will, we'll circle back again later, and you're phenomenal and fabulous, and thank you for your time.
Ditto. Bye, friend. Thanks again.
All right. Bye, guys. See you later, friends.
Take what lands, leave what doesn't, and keep moving forward. Follow wherever you're listening, and if you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know.